Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Timothy Adon, composer by day, gamer by night. Today, I'm going to talk about sound effects. Sound effects are usually things used to create background noises, things like footsteps, footsteps, clapping, birds, car honking, just general background noises. They are also used to create foreground sounds. The horrifying whir of a robot's servos as it slowly trundles towards you, or the small explosion of a gunshot. Today, specifically, I'm going to talk about Foley sound effects. And in order to explain to you what Foley is, I will explain to you what other sound effects are. So I'm going to start by listing off the different kinds of sound effects that get used. First one is on-site sound effects, or at least that's what I'm calling it. Those are the sound effects that you hear directly when like a film is getting recorded, usually in like a documentary or a newsreel, things like that. Any sound that makes it into the microphone when it's being filmed is the sound that gets used. That's not usually how most movies get made. Movies usually, the only sound that they keep from the stage itself is the speech. Or if it's in the middle of a city, sometimes they'll keep the city sounds because that's the most realistic. They're going to get that. But lots of the time that's too noisy. So on-site sounds don't tend to get used. Most of the time, on-site sounds get replaced with Foley sounds. Foley sounds is a simulation of the sound that should be occurring on the scene. Now, how Foley sounds work is the studio artists are given a clip from the film that they are working on. So I'm going to give you an example that was given to me, so it's easy for me to explain. Somebody running across wet concrete, slipping, and then crashing into a bunch of trash bins. Now, if there was too much background noise, or if it was just, back when Foley work was created, it was just impossible to record all those things at once and have it be effective, then what you would do is you'd record the film, and then once the film is recorded and it's finalized, the film gets shipped off to a sound studio. Then the crew of the sound studio will create a simulation of what's going on screen. So in this particular case, they need to simulate the footsteps of somebody running on wet concrete, specifically the sliding on the concrete and the crashing into trash bins. So how that works, one person will stand in place wearing the same shoes as the actor on wet concrete, and that sound will be recorded. Then, once it's time to slip, the next person in line will have those same types of shoes and slide them on the wet concrete and record that sound. Then, the last person in line will take trash bins and throw them around in order to simulate the last part of the sound. And the reason that there's a line for this is because at that time, there was no such thing as digital audio. You couldn't just slice things up at the at the push of a button. Most of the time, if you wanted to slice sound up, it actually required slicing tape. And that was not perfect. So usually, if you wanted to record something like that, you wanted to do it as perfect in time as possible. So this meant long lines of people, all with props, all with their own microphones, with a copy of the film being played at the same time so that people would have their cues as to when they should be using their props. So, other kind of sound effects. Moving on from Foley. There are a couple other kind of sound effects. There's sound libraries. That's the simple one. Sound libraries are things that you can go online and buy, and it's just libraries of different sounds. They don't really have a specific purpose. They are just there in case you either A, can't record your own version of the sound you were looking for, or don't have the time, or maybe it's just easier or more accessible, whatever. So you can either buy sound libraries, or you can make your own. If you have your own hand recorder, field recorder, whatever, you can go out and you can record all those different sounds and just save them. That's what I do. I go out, if I hear something that I really want to record, I will go over and record it. And then it gets stored on my computer, and I can use it for whatever. And then if you get called upon to make a specific sound, and you just so happen to have that sound already recorded, you're golden. You don't even have to use up any time. And the last kind of sound is the synthetic sound, or the manufactured sound. It doesn't necessarily have to be completely synthetic. And what this means is taking a sound and making it sound like something else. Or if you're really getting down to synthesized sound, you can take a synthesizer and attempt to create a particular sound using a synthesizer. Most of the time that's going to be for futuristic sound effects, laser blasts or ship explosions, or I don't know, something that uses synthesizers, because a synthesizer is probably not going to get a realistic sound out, but you can. It's certainly not impossible. Or you can do what I do, which is use isotope iris and just chop up sounds that you have and turn them into other things entirely. You've seen me do that if you've watched my videos before. Other things you can do is you can take a couple sounds, and then as long as you apply the appropriate picture to it, people will think that it's something else. The example that I've been given is taking paper and plastic wrap, crumpling it together, and then if you put it behind the video of a blazing fire, people will think it's the sound of fire going off. Now, obviously, that might take some processing in order to make it sound truly realistic, but you get the idea. So what is it that I'm going to be working on today? Today, I am going to work on some Foley sounds. And I am going to simulate a action or set of actions, and I am going to process the sounds and line them up in such a way that it sounds as if that action is occurring. Now, since we have digital audio workstations and we have the ability to do things however we want, it's entirely possible. Foley sounds as they were, having long lines of people simulating sounds at the exactly right moments, doesn't really happen much anymore, because now you can record a string of footsteps, cut each individual footstep out, and then apply it directly to the video at the exact right moments without having to even see the video beforehand, although that's obviously helpful. Same thing, using that previous example, instead of having the long line of people to simulate the footsteps, the slide, and the crash, you could have one person record the footsteps, that same person then later record the slide, and that same person later throw trash cans around and record it. Then just go to his digital audio workstation, cut up those sounds however he needs to, remove whatever extraneous sounds need to be removed, and then apply them directly to the video, which can be done right inside your digital audio workstation. That couldn't have been done before. So the work of Foley has become significantly easier, if just a little bit less fun and amusing. But anyways, so today I am going to do some Foley work. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to have to think of something to simulate. And I have just the idea. You see what I did there? Yeah, I kind of figured you did. So, how did I get those sounds? Well, here is a clip of what it was that I did so that you can see exactly what happened. Alright, so we are in my pantry. I already recorded myself opening and closing a door, walking into and out of a kitchen, blah 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 blah. So, I have my hand recorder right there. And now I'm going to go outside and record a number of different things, from the walking sounds to the car sounds. So here's a very, very quick little ditty on how I did that. And that is how it's done. Well, that's the easy way of how it's done. There are more complicated ways that you could do it, obviously. Well, not more complicated. There are better ways that you could do it. But this is the quick and easy way. You know, the method that I have access to at the moment. So now you've seen the process of how I went about recording the sounds themselves. Now let's go through and see how it is that I process them in order to be ready to put into this video.